Hello, my name's Rob Brooks. I want to talk to you today about the Innovation Award from the Elizabeth Castle Trust. I was lucky to be successful in an application to this award recently, and what I want to share with you today is my experience of that application and hopefully to give you some help in thinking about how you may also be able to apply for this award. The Innovation Award essentially does what it says on the tin. It's about innovative thinking and innovative design for occupational therapy practice. It's about bringing new ideas and new thoughts to the ways that we might be delivering things in practice. Often grants for funding are associated with research, and ideas that are more embedded in service improvement or service evaluation might fall outside of the scope of that funding. So the Innovation Award is there to support you to do something different, to think about how occupational therapy services could be different and the benefits that that could bring both to the people who work in those services and the people who receive those services. When thinking about an idea for an innovation project, please do look at the resources that are available on the Elizabeth Castle Trust website to guide you. But from my experience, it's important to think about where your idea came from. The project that I'm involved in is about developing an occupation-focused service in a neurosciences department at a busy teaching hospitals trust. Probably an environment that we would associate with sort of more medical practice, and one that is certainly working with people at an acute stage of their illness. And so the idea for this actually came in three parts for us. So I work at a university and our students were talking to us about how when on practice in this area of neurosciences, they were struggling to see where the occupation was. They were looking at ways in which they could integrate models of occupation and how that could help them to demonstrate the unique practice of occupational therapists. And that's also what the occupational therapists in the setting were talking to us about. They wanted to show how they were different from physiotherapy colleagues, from clinical psychology. So how do we bring that real focus around occupation in both our assessments, our intervention, and the language that we use? Equally, as an academic at a university, I'm keen to think about ways in which we can develop and support colleagues and students in practice to have that focus on occupation. Secondly, really think about what you're trying to achieve. So it's about long-term change, especially in our project. So taking people on a journey. It's very easy for academics to come in and try and work with our clinical partners to create change and change practice. But actually, we know that actually working together, collaborating to create that change so that you get long-term outcomes is the best way forward. And whilst I'm talking here about academics driving the Innovation Award, the award is definitely not unique for people working in universities. And in fact, I would encourage clinicians to be the drivers for the Innovation Award, but please do work with academic or other partners who you think might be able to help you. So again, there may be other key partners that you need to consider, and these could be students, they could be service users. There's certainly some work that needs to be done with sort of research and innovation departments in trusts or the organisation that you work in, so that they can help you with the support that they might be able to give in terms of resources or time. Really think about what skills and resources the people in the team that you're bringing together have, and that could be around clinical expertise, leadership and management expertise, perhaps some research or research skills might be helpful. One of the key resources, though, is around time, and one of the benefits of the Elizabeth Castle Trust Innovation Award is that you're being given money to do something, and the way that we used that was to backfill the time of both academics and clinicians. Trusts are very good at being innovative in the way that they can use that funding to backfill people's time, but projects don't happen without people having the time, and we know that everybody is stretched in terms of the resources that they have. So again, be creative, think about what you can do, but also really do think about what you can bring or add to this as well. So whilst the Elizabeth Casson Trust wants to give people funding to be able to do these things, also think about what your own organisation can bring, and that could be time, that could be resources, and that can certainly be people. You will need to think about funding, and it's important that you work with your HR departments or the grants or the innovation and research department in your organisation. Different organisations will fund things in different ways, and there are things such as on costs. So we think about things like lighting and heating and those types of things, which the Elizabeth Casson aren't going to fund or unlikely to fund because they're being provided by your organisation already. But please, discuss or arrange to meet with the appropriate department in your organisation, because they can help you with that in terms of how much it costs for people's time. You're definitely going to need some time to put the application together. Whilst the application form is in no way onerous, it takes some time to get it right, to think about what you're going to do. It's presented much like a sort of a business resource, or sorry, a business proposal. You're proposing about what you're going to change about the business of occupational therapy, which again is slightly different to research funding or other funding that you might have considered before. But please do have a look on the Casson website to help guide you with that application. We've mentioned resources, or I've mentioned resources already, but do think broadly. Whilst time is one of those resources, are you going to need any IT systems? Are you going to need anywhere to store data? Are you going to need some assessment tools? Are you going to need some different type of paperwork? So it's useful to sort of brainstorm these ideas with your team, to think about what resources that you're going to need to deliver that project, and be realistic about those. So the funding that's available is limited. So think about resources you already have within your own organisation. The Elizabeth Casson Trust does have some specific requirements for the Innovation Award, and you must look at the strategic intentions from the Elizabeth Casson Trust. Your project needs to align to these, because this is where the funding comes from. So again, take some time to look over the website, to read the information, and to read the guidance on applying for an Innovation Award. Look at the evidence that you have to support the need for your project. So whilst we can often have great ideas, what the Trust is looking for is, where's the need for your project come from, and what evidence do you have? So again, thinking about my own project, I already talked about this evidence coming from students, coming from clinicians, and coming from academia. And we were able to support that in our application with some literature. Not all of it was academic literature, but we looked around to see what other types of projects had been done developing an occupation focus. And actually through a literature search, through a Google search, we were able to find examples where other people had rolled out some similar projects. We were able to look at what worked, what didn't work, and then that helps to inform you how you're going to deliver your own project, and makes the Elizabeth Casson Trust feel that they could have confidence in your ability to deliver the project. They're also looking for the options that you've considered. So whilst you and the team that you're working with have probably decided on what you feel is the best way forward for your project, you need to outline which types of different things that you've considered. And again, I've already mentioned, for us, the project, it was important that we took people on a journey on our project. So our involvement or implementing occupation focused practice involves some different waves of the project. So scoping what changes people would like, talking to people about how they'd like that change to happen, providing training on the new way of working, and then providing time for an evaluation of the project intervention. So I've always found it helpful to think about things in phases or stages, so that you think about how you've constructed your project but also then why you might have discounted different ways of doing things to come up with what you feel is the best way forward. You need to think about value for money. So the Elizabeth Casson Trust wants to know what change you're going to create out of this. And I've already mentioned, what can your organisation contribute towards that as well? So obviously you're contributing some of those on costs, lighting, heating, space, those types of things. But actually, are you able to commit any time from your own money or own time that would contribute to the project? And finally, think about deliverables. How are you going to measure, or how are you going to demonstrate that what you've done has had an outcome? Now, not all projects go as planned, and not all outcomes are what we were expecting, but there should be some outcomes. So for our project, we're going to be managing, we're going to be outcome or looking at the ways in which the language clinicians use, the focus that they have in their assessments, the focus that they have in their occupational therapy goals, thinking about the types of interventions that they deliver. And we're going to be gathering that information through interviews, but also some surveys. So we will certainly want to be looking at both the short-term and the long-term impact of that. So from the experience that I've had with the team that I've worked with, I would suggest that you can use the awards to be creative and to try something new. It gives you the time, the scope, and the money to be able to find out whether something would be would work and could work. Think about working together. So create a team of people who are going to be involved in the project. And as I said before, think about clinicians, students, service users, academics, maybe people from other professions. Think about how you're going to put that team of people together. Be realistic about time. It probably took us around 6 months to put our bid together, because actually you need time for the meetings. Somebody needs to take charge of writing the application form. There needs to be time to review that and to give feedback on that. There's no point doing the project if we don't create some change for people. And I'm very passionate about our project and the way that it might implement a change in practice that brings occupation to the forefront. And we hope that that can be implemented long term. Be clear about who will do what. So when working with a larger team, be clear about who's going to lead on what parts of the project. That's both in the design and writing of the application form, but also it's about defining roles in the project itself. So how long is the project going to take? Who is going to have what roles in that? How is their time costed, or what is their contribution going to be? So that everyone is clear on what's going to happen. I've been very lucky to work with a team of people from across Leeds Teaching Hospitals Trust and from Leeds Beckett University, and so we're very excited about our project going forward, and hopefully this presentation has given you some ideas that you might be able to use and develop to put in your own application. Thank you.